Our guest today is Renzie Lamb, who spent 36 years on the Williams campus coaching 3 sports and much more. Renzie, give us an update on what you're doing now and what your career was like at Williams.
Let's go with my career at Williams. I was never afraid to work. So I not only coached 3 sports, assistant in football, head men's lacrosse, and head women's squash for 10 years. I was the director of intramurals. I was the summer conference athletic director, which I enjoyed very much. I ran all the snack bars for years until I got married. My wife says, you have to give up some, so I gave up snack bars, which I think is one of the more important things. I love my PE. Physical education was a very important part of my career here because I met youngsters, men and women, who I didn't have any opportunity to coach and who wanted to get to know me and take PE, and I think that was a very meaningful experience here at Williams. What am I doing now? I walk in the morning with Ron Stead and Dick Farley. That's my exercise. I exercise later in the day. When I retired from Williams in 2003, I wanted to finish up with an Amherst game, which we did in Lacrosse. I worked for 3 years at the Naval Academy for Jerome Rizzo, who was Lieutenant Colonel in the Marine Corps. And we coached the lightweight football team for 3 years. It was an absolute terrific experience. And after that, and that was from August to November, then I came home and needed something to do, so I became the president of the sideline quarterback.
What was Williams like when you showed up in 1968?
All male. And you got to understand what 1968, society was changing. Riots, Vietnam War. By 1970 we had Kent State, Laotian incursion and all that. It was a male school, fraternity. They were getting rid of fraternities. They were phasing out. There was talk of co-education. The curriculum, the 414 curriculum was going along, but it was a very different school than it is now. It was a family. Believe it or not, in 1968, this college, the people that ran this college were women secretaries, administrative assistants. They ran the college. Kay O'Connell, Millie Smith, Mrs. McDonough. I mean, these were the people that ran it. The other thing in 1968, which I thought, you know, was I came here to work, and my contemporaries were athletic icons. Clarence Chaffee, Al Shore, Tony Plansky, Ralph Townsend, Bobby Coombs. I mean, those are the people I worked with. The other thing, in 1968, we had a president who probably, when they look back at Williams College, one of the greatest, Jack Sawyer. And, you know, a benevolent dictator. There wasn't a lot of questioning. Jack did what he wanted to do. He told you what to do. And I have a good anecdote about Jack Sawyer. In 1972, Larry Catuzzi left. The football job was open. So I came in to interview. I haven't been here 3 years, and they allowed me to interview. It was right downstairs at Hopkins Hall. I had a great interview. I had a new suit. Oh man, I knocked them out. So when we finished, Jack says, step outside and wait for me. So I go outside. He says, come in my office. So I go in my office and I sit down and he says, you're not going to get the football job. You had a great interview. We really like what you're doing here for the boys. Renz, we need somebody who's uncouth and crude. And you're providing that for the young men. I said, well, you know, okay. He said, and we'll take care of you and your salary and everything else. And he said, here's the other thing. This was in February. Here's $20. Go get some boots, because I was the referee for the Winter Carnival. I used to do it in sneakers. Go to Ma Goldberg's over in North Adams and get some boots. Here's $20. Thank you very much. And that was Williams College. I mean, boom. In 1967, I was coaching down in Long Island, New York. I was undefeated in lacrosse at Manhasset High School, 18-0, New York State champs. And I was undefeated at Iona Prep, where I taught, 8-0, and we were the New York State champs. So I had, you know, I'd say that was a pretty good year. So I'm in class one day teaching AP history, and I said, you know, this was a great year for me. I should be in Sports Illustrated. Kid puts his hand up in the back of the room and says, my father's the editor of Sports Illustrated. I says, well, then take care of it and I'll give you an A. And at that point, Frank Navarro and his staff went down to Columbia, and the job opened up here, and I found out about it a couple of days early because my old football coach at Hofstra was the AD, Al Paul, at Columbia. He said, we're hiring a whole Williams staff, so I knew there'd be a lacrosse job open here. So I called my friend, my athletic director at Hofstra, Howdy Myers. He said, call Frank Toms. Frank Toms was the athlete. So I called him on a Saturday morning, and that Wednesday I was written up in Sports Illustrated and Faces in the Crowd. So I called Frank and I said, Frank, I'm interested in a lacrosse job. And I told him my name and everything else. He says, you know, I know what you look like, he said. I have on my desk Sports Illustrated with encircled in red is possible candidate. I said, well, I'm not interested in a football job. I don't think I'm ready for that, but I am ready for the lacrosse job. He said, well, when we hire a football coach, I'll get back to you. Now, Frank, in the 3 years I worked for him, never told me who sent the Sports Illustrated article to him. And finally, about 25 years later, I was coaching a young woman on my squash team named Mace Fail. And she told me that it was the story in the Fail family that Charlie Fail, the vice president of the college, had sent that Sports Illustrated over to Frank Todd.